When we think back to those childhood field trips to space centers, there was always that one kid who proudly pulled out that shiny packet of freeze-dried astronaut ice cream from their souvenir bag. A dry, crumbly, and distinctly chalky treat. Everyone would pass it around, half curious and half confused by its odd taste. A dessert, yet nothing like it that we were used to. Packaged in metallic wrapping and served in that classic Neapolitan style, this novelty snack has been etched into the collective memories of Americans since the year of 1974. But why does this strange version of ice cream even exist? And what exactly makes it quote-unquote space food? Well, it all comes down to the peculiar environment of outer space, where traditional ice cream would be disastrous. For example, a meltdown in zero gravity would send sticky droplets floating everywhere, potentially clogging up important machinery or interfering with crucial operations. That's where freeze-drying comes in. Through a process known as sublimation, moisture is removed at low temperatures, creating a shelf-stable treat that wouldn't cause chaos on a spacecraft. But did astronauts actually eat this stuff? Or was it all part of a clever marketing myth? Stick around to find out, as today we unravel the mysteries behind space ice cream. I'm your host Ryan Socash, and you're watching Eats History. Our story starts back in 1965, during the Gemini mission, when John Young was reprimanded for sneaking aboard a corned beef sandwich that had become crumbly. You see, the bits of food that flew around could have disturbed machinery, which is exactly the reason why NASA was so strict about what type of food could be consumed in space. Despite specific space food, there aren't really any space kitchens where they could conjure up anything they please. So before heading out into space, the food is prepared by using supplies primarily available to the average consumer down here on Earth. Fortunately though, crew members involved in space missions have a say in what they bring up with them, ranging from freeze-dried to natural form items, or not freeze-dried foods. So if we want to get more specific, the roots of astronauts eating anything in space at all goes back to when John Glenn first consumed applesauce from a tube, while on the Mercury 3 mission back in 1962. Back then, astronauts utilized aluminum tubes filled with semi-liquids of all sorts. By squeezing these into their mouth, they could happily avoid that microgravity mess. Eventually, astronauts were given more freedom over the form that their necessary nutrients took. Later on, during the Gemini mission of 1965 and 1966, they ate little cubes of food surrounded by gelatin, which prevented the issue of crumbs. This diminished the dangerous crumbling of food by holding the form of the meal together. They also improved the packaging and storage, opting for plastic containers that had designated storage spaces on the ship, were protected by plastic film, and offered rehydration capabilities that would make the food taste much better. Beyond the cubes, Gemini astronauts were offered everyday earthly meals, including things like chicken, vegetables, and sometimes butterscotch pudding. Later, another upgrade was seen in the introduction of hot water for the Apollo astronauts, who entered space for the first time in 1968. Hot water would allow for better tasting food served at warm and delicious temperatures. The greater logic behind this was that good meals could contribute to greater success. Later in 1973, when the Skylab mission was occurring, the dining room and table with footholds were first introduced, providing the astronauts a chance to feel that Earth-like normalcy, as they could now dine as we do here on the ground. Additionally, the freezer and fridge on Skylab allowed for more efficient food storage. So what's my point? Well, these missions were formulated before 1974, when freeze-dried astronaut ice cream was first invented. In other words, the more sinister upon us might even say that astronaut ice cream is a scam. Space ice cream wasn't invented for space missions. That's right, in 1974, NASA hired Outdoor Products to provide the now nostalgic space ice cream. However, it wasn't intended for space missions. Rather, it was for gift shops. You see, since Outdoor Products was a camping company that made freeze-dried foods for outdoor expeditions, the match fit perfectly when NASA was searching for someone to make freeze-dried ice cream for people to eat here on Earth. So it was natural that over time, space ice cream became synonymous and associated with the life of an astronaut assigned to a space mission. Now, there was a claim that space ice cream was on the Apollo 7 space expedition, but Walter Cunningham utterly denied it when Vox interviewer Phil Edwards asked him about the story. Cunningham's perspective is entirely verifiable, since he was the mission's lunar module pilot. Hence, he very likely would have noticed the inclusion of freeze-dried ice cream on that flight. Besides, Apollo 7 occurred in 1967, 6 years before NASA had reached out to Outdoor Products for their gift shop souvenir idea. From its conception, was meant to make us here on Earth feel more connected to the out-of-world experience enjoyed by astronauts, giving us a small slice of what it might be like to be up there where gravity isn't. These days, space ice cream has been incorporated to the space-age zeitgeist as an innocent and childlike aspect of a rather existential endeavor, inspiring the youth to feel an affinity for space. And to this day, Outdoor Products is still involved with space ice cream as the parent company of Astronaut Foods, which distributes this tasty treat. Moreover, a notable collaboration occurred in the 1990s that brought space ice cream to an even wider audience. You see, when Kellogg's cereal saw the freeze-dried snack's popularity, they actually began offering astronaut ice cream in boxes of Raisin Bran. And since Kellogg's cereal is a company that advertises frequently on television, many more people would continue to buy the cereal and learn about the ice cream. So what's the takeaway? Well, space ice cream is not much more than a clever marketing ploy. Astronauts never really ate this stuff, and it's hard to say when the myth took off, but many people trace its roots back to Ron Smith, founder of Outdoor Products, who was approached by the Space Museum to create it. And apparently, they claimed that freeze-dried ice cream had already been consumed by astronauts in space, despite zero evidence to back that up. And if you think about it, the logistics don't add up with that claim. With its crumbly bits, a snack like that would be a nightmare in zero gravity, potentially clogging up vital equipment. Yet the tale of space ice cream persists, floating around in the public, playing on that childhood nostalgia we all enjoy. We'll leave it there for today, but I thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'm Ryan Socash, signing off.